In the realm of the horror genre and the thriller and mystery genre, I think the biggest name that people often hear about and know about is the one and only great Stephen King. I mean, everybody knows who Stephen King is, and you've heard his name through countless books and also movies. And also, there's a ton of properties of his that's been added into adaptations. But I think that the one that a lot of people talk about and the one that a lot of people give recognition to is not only the It remake or Pet Cemetery or some of his other works like Stand By Me or The Green Mile or even The Shining, is in fact a little known film that's directed by one of my favorite movie directors actually, and it's actually a story that I haven't read from Stephen King. In fact, the only story or short story that I've read was Children of the Corn, which is in fact 10 times better than the movie was. But we're not talking about Children of the Corn. We're going to talk about a little known movie from one of my favorite movie directors, and that would happen to be. So, greetings, geeks, ghouls, and goblins. I'm Wade Universe and White and Nerdy, and I have never seen John Carpenter's Christine, even though I'm a massive John Carpenter fan. I haven't seen all of his movies, by the way. I still haven't seen the original Halloween, which I might do at some point for Lazyween. Never seen the original Halloween. I've only seen like the third, fourth, and fifth films, I think. I honestly can't remember. But I've never seen the original Christine. Never seen the original never seen the original Halloween, never seen Christine before. I think he also did like Trouble Comes to Frogtown or something like that. But I'm a big fan of his other works, such as Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, The Thing, and yes, of course, The Mouth of Madness. I did try to review The Thing before, but that got very copyrighted, even though I was just using the 10-second clips, so I don't know what happened in that review, so yeah. But anyways, I am a big fan of John Carpenter as a director. The man is a master when it comes to directing. But how do I feel about the movie Christine, which I've heard people talk about as being like a cult favorite and that it has a huge fan base and cult following behind it. So do I really love the movie of Christine? Probably not as big as you think that I am. While I can admit that Carpenter was a great director at this, I gotta say that the script that was written, which was not handled by Stephen King but someone else, it didn't copy very good, especially since I had never read the short story or the book Christine. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not quite there yet. So this is going to be a lazy review. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on the John Carpenter Christine. And first of all, I got to say that John Carpenter is great at just getting these casting characters together, and he really does pick some really good, well-known talents. Well, I'm not going to call the actors by their actual names. I'm just going to refer to them as the characters that they play throughout the majority of this film. And I got to say that this film was actually a blast, especially the way how it starts out. The movie actually begins in Detroit as we actually go to a Cadillac making facility where we get to see Christine rolling off the throughway as the song Badge the Bone is being played in the background. I also love the fact of how highlighted that Christine is to let you know that this car is dangerous, as in red is basically the color of danger, even though she's a sexy cherry red. But right off the bat, you get the feeling that this car is not quite all that it seems. It seems a bit different, and that's kind of different in kind of the worst way. Well, I admit that John Carpenter is a great man at pacing. With this film, I didn't feel like that he was doing his pacing very, very well. Although, yeah, he does do a great contribution of one of my favorite kind of like horror characters, which is Arnold Cunningham, which is a reference happily to Happy Days, because there is a character played by Pat Morita named Arnold, and then he takes the name Cunningham from Ron Howard's infamous character from Ron Howard's infamous character as Cunningham. So it's very nice that it got kind of nod. I don't know if that was the actual name of the story. Again, I haven't read the story, but I like that little nod because I'm like, that is completely a kind of a Happy Days reference that they threw in here. And yeah, I'm a Happy Days kind of guy. I like Fonzie and the Cunningham and all of them guys. But yeah, I thought it was a nice little nod. But what I was saying about Carpenter is that he likes using patience, and he likes pacing his films to kind of have the time of what's going to happen be a huge payoff, which is unfortunate for this film, but I'll get into more of that later. So we get to meet our two main characters, but basically Arnold, as I was saying, is the main character, but we also get to meet his best friend Dennis, and this is really cool because Carpenter is great at doing this is that you have a jock and a nerd be friends. And back in school, yeah, I was known as the nerd, but I had a lot of friends too that were jocks. And Dennis and Arnold's relationship feels a lot like I still have that relationship with my friends that were jocks way back in high school that I'm still friends with to this day. Which, when we get introduced to Arnold, we get to notice that something not quite right in Arnold's home. He doesn't seem as happy as usually a kid should be. But I gotta hand it to the actors behind Arnold and Dennis. They do a very good job at portraying a very good friendship that seems to last for pretty much a long time for both of them. But of course, in true Stephen King fashion, there is a bully by the name of Buddy Repperton who is basically just a dick and a downright asshole to every single person at the school. But within only 15 minutes into the film, we actually meet the film's villain. The villain known only as Christine. And this is where the film kind of falls apart. You see, I never read the short story, so I can't compare and contrast or the story itself, but in any regard, this is probably very bad to have happen, especially just 15 minutes into the movie. I would have liked to have gotten you to the characters a lot more. That would have made the film a little bit more, I guess not, I wouldn't say chaotic, but I would say like it would make more sense to get used to the characters before you introduce the villain of the movie. Is all I'm saying, because even when I went back and watched it at least a few times before, leading it up to this review, it's like, yeah, like this movie like really should have had a little bit better timing at introducing the villain of the movie, I feel. And one of the worst things about this film is that it's a horror film, but it wants me to take notice of a killer Hot Wheels, so to speak. And it's like, but I can't take that very seriously, because it's like, okay, it's an indestructible car that has a revenge spree, and it causes men, mostly, not women. It has an effect on men, not women. So it feels like, like female type of Pokemon, like this effect can work on male type Pokemon, but not female type Pokemon. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting here. But somehow, and it's never explained, she killed a person's brother. We never see that. And she ends up kind of affecting Arnold, which I do have to say for John Carpenter, or, the writer, either way, or even the actor, Arnold begins to change, and I really like his transformation throughout a majority of the film. I love how Arnold starts out as this sweet, nice, simple minded, very respectful young man, and yet he sort of changes later on in the film. You get to see the transformation of how Arnold is very distant from his friends and even his own parents, and even more so, he gets darker and darker the more he spends time with Christine. Even when his best friend is in the hospital due to a football injury, he ends up still being an asshole and a dick towards him, and he even begins to change his personality. In fact, while on a date with a girl Lay that he ends up falling in love with, Christine almost kills her without any rhyme or reason, and we never know why. Even to the point where Christine had been destroyed and smashed up by Buddy Repperton, he doesn't take it out on the bullies. He instead takes it out on poor Lay. This is something that I love about Carpenter as a director, is that he loves to handle the cast and characters, and with everybody in this movie, he does a tremendous job at keeping the cast and characters in line. And even with Arnold, like even to the point where, Christine was smashed up only for Buddy Repperton to get his twisted revenge, Arnold takes it out on the worst people. He takes it out on his best friend Dennis. He takes it out on his girlfriend Lay. He takes it out on his own fucking parents, for God's sake. And then you start to kind of get to see that the car kind of is twisted in a sense. I mean, even with Lay, he grabs her right by the fucking throat and almost chokes her right out just for what happens to the car. And you do get the mindset of why that is the thing because like when a person, male female, buys their first car, that is their child, and they don't want nothing to happen to their first vehicle, especially the first one that they own. And but then again, you get the strength of the supernatural with that something has happened with this car that we don't really exactly get to know. I mean, even when Lay was trying to basically round the bases, if you know what I mean, basically sweep with Arnold, he declines her and instead wants to have the vehicle instead of this very beautiful, very gorgeous. I mean, the actress that plays with a very beautiful woman, but like he had this very beautiful and gorgeous like woman, and yet he wants to have the car in replacement of that, and we never get to know the true reason why the car or Christine controlled Arnold the way that she does, and the film doesn't do a very good job at establishing this either. In fact, as many times as I've watched it, I don't think that we come back to compare and contrast like what really happened in the category of Christine and what she can do with the men that she kind of like hypnotizes or whatever. This is where we get to meet Harry Dean Stanton, who is actually a very good actor in this or Stanton, and he does a very good job as an investigator trying to figure out what the hell happened between boys and also Christine. We also find out, thankfully to the film, that Christine has a unique ability to reassemble herself after she's been deconstructed, which makes her sort of like immortal and invincible. Which, as you would expect for this film, yes, it's actually true that Arnold uses a car to go after the boys that were on Christine for his own twisted revenge. So much so that at the end of the movie, it's up to Dennis and Lay to end up getting revenge against Christine for what she had done and all the wrong that Arnold had done. So, do I like and respect Christine as a movie? Not necessarily. It's not a bad movie, but it's not exactly a great one either. In fact, I consider it pretty good. What's the worst part behind that is that I can't exactly bring myself to say that it's the greatest film I've ever seen. The biggest flaw with the film is, in fact, basically that it has these very unique characters, but yet it doesn't know what to do with these characters. In fact, probably the one that did know was the director himself, John Carpenter, because I love how Carpenter again handles characters in his films and gets them set up in a way that he wants to do it. The script was very lackluster. There was no big surprise moments that actually happened. I will admit the Christine effects were pretty damn decent and pretty damn good. And in fact, they always had it played out very nice that you never saw the person inside the Christine, which was in fact Arnold being possessed by the car itself. It is in fact a great movie to watch on Halloween, but is it the best film that I've seen, especially for the first time? Not really, unfortunately. The characters and cast is great. The music is phenomenal, and which is why I haven't used any audio, which because the movie uses a lot of songs and clips, such as George Thorogood and the Destroyers, Little Richard, Dion, Dion and Boys. It, I think that's what they're known as. A lot of big name music that you wouldn't necessarily hear in other films. It said that there was music done by Carpenter, yet I don't even think that there was a moment where I could actually enjoy John Carpenter's music because he's made some of the best music of his career throughout most of his movies. So Christine is just not a very good film. The plot was kind of like blinded. It swerved like a car all over the road just to get to the point that it wanted. So where do I fit on my scale of rating for Christine? Well, it's not necessarily a nostalgic film. It does kind of remind me a little bit of Knight Rider, but it's not exactly the best film I've ever seen. So it was without a doubt that I probably would have to rate Christine probably the rating of a not so great Funko Pop that I have, but I have it because I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. So I'd have to rate Christine a Battle 11. It was very blind going into the plot, and in fact, the big payoff at the end did not feel the best or necessary for a film of this requirement. And therefore, Christine will have to get my Funko Pop rating of a Battle 11. It's blind to the plot, has great characters, but not a great payoff. I can guarantee that there's probably a lot of my subscribers that thought I was gonna give it like a bigger rating. Now it's kind of like a lackluster film. So as always, guys, thank you for liking and subscribing. Be sure if you want to stay tuned for more Lazyween, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me at Twitter with a link in the description down below. And also, um, be sure to tell me what movies maybe for next Lazy Wayne that I should either look at or review for the channel. I've already have gotten some good suggestions, so to speak, especially to check out Fright Night 2. But stay tuned because coming soon is Friday the 13th. And that gives me time to take a look at, since I have the 8 DVD box set that goes from the original Friday the 13th to Jason Takes Manhattan, I will be taking a look at a Friday the 13th I've never seen before. And that is the original. So stay tuned, and we'll be celebrating Jason Voorhees and Pamela Voorhees by taking a look at the original cult classic Friday the 13th, and I'll be giving you guys my honest opinions on it. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me at Twitter with the link in the description down below. And as always, guys, stay. And as always, guys, be. I've been with the Universe. I've been nerdy. Keep eking on. Take care, and as always, stay spooky.